Okay, I'm going to take you through my latest renovation. This duplex now looks like this, but before it looked like this. This is the walkthrough from just before we closed, and we did a full renovation. This was a pretty fun project, but it was time consuming. I'll go through the numbers on it when we get to the end of the video, but this one turned out to be a home run. I'll also go through where I found the deal and just kind of all the details that you would really want to know if you were going to try to do your own deal like this. So we did a pretty full renovation. This one had some foundation issues, which was a little bit outside of the scope of what I normally do, but actually helped a little bit because right before we started, I walked in and my place was flooded out. When your feet splash in your renovation project nobody lives in, it's a bad thing. So my contractor nicked this water line. The water was off. He didn't realize it. And I come over the next day and we are full of water. So fortunately, we had ripped up all the flooring to deal with the issue in the foundation. So I just removed the baseboard in all the affected areas and went and got some, yeah, there's the culprit right there. Went and got some big fans from Home Depot. I already had one, but I rented quite a few more and moved them around and kept everything open, windows open, all that good stuff until we were able to get 100% of the moisture out. And then we started the full renovation. So it involved about 1 million trips to Home Depot. That's just one of them. It involved me doing some plumbing that I hate because somebody else did it wrong. Did new appliances. And then this is the final, or close to final. This wasn't the last day, but I was kind of wrapping everything up. Product. We replaced these poles. They were metal and rotted and definitely not safe. So replaced them with wood 4x4s and wrapped them in a hardy board, repainted the soffit, repainted the shutters, um, ripped out a bunch of junk and put in some new mulch, added parking on each side because there really wasn't anywhere near enough parking. We did all tile flooring all the way throughout. We painted every surface, so trim, the doors, the walls, the ceilings. There was a good bit, a couple $1,000s of sheetrock work that needed to be done as a result of the foundation issue. So I had that done. Well, and smoker. There was a smoker in the right side, so we ended up just scraping down the ceilings and texturing them on both sides, which was a big improvement. All new appliances, all new countertop, new sink, new plumbing fixtures, all new light fixtures, all new hardware on, well, new pulls. I actually couldn't find the hinges to replace, but new pulls. And then, of course, painted those cabinets. We had to do a million small miscellaneous things. This place was built in '77. It just hadn't been taken care of. So we kind of did a little bit of everything, but I think it turned out great. The units rent for $1,100 per side now, which is fantastic. It's a good bit more than I thought we could rent for. We replaced air vents, we replaced air returns, we replaced all the doors because they were in terrible shape. I took the doors off these linen closets because it was just going to be hard for them not to get beat up. New vanity, new countertop, new light fixture, new mirror, new tub surround, new tub, new toilet, new hardware. This one was just a full renovation as far as the cosmetic stuff went. And this is just one side. I'm not going to show you, the walkthrough of both sides for the sake of time because I want to get into the numbers. And here's just a handful of, the after pictures. So you can see the parking pads. And like I said, this was what we used for the marketing. It's not perfect, it's still a fairly inexpensive rental duplex. I didn't replace the windows. I didn't do a ton on the outside other than clean up the fence lines. But inside got everything, and ultimately the numbers are great.
Okay, I promised you to dive into the numbers, so here it is.
Okay, so this was part of a 3 duplex deal that my property manager actually brought to me and asked if I was interested. I did a kind of quick rundown of the numbers in my head and said, yeah, I'm definitely interested. I wrote up an offer right away just to go ahead and get it under contract, and then did my walkthrough during the inspection period. Originally, the purchase price was $330,000 total, which was 110 per duplex. But this duplex that we've been talking about was in really rough shape. One side of it was vacant, and you saw how bad that was in that very beginning of the video. And then during the inspection, walking through with my inspector, we just kept seeing some strange things and ultimately figured out there was probably a foundation issue. So we brought in a couple foundation companies and got some bids. We were correct. Kind of the center of the house was or had settled. Ultimately, I was able to negotiate a $25,000 discount on this duplex, which brought the purchase price from 110 for it down to 85. Between the foundation work and the renovation, I had right at $41,000 in the renovation and the foundation work. Closing costs and inspections totaled out at just about 6,500. I divided that by 3 to get 2,200 for this particular duplex. I will say buying all three together on one loan saved me some closing costs, so that was nice. That brings my total invested to 128,200. I put 20% down on the original 85. Everything else I paid out of pocket. So cash invested would be 60,200. So we've talked about the total investment. Now we'll dig into what kind of monthly cash flow it's getting, and then we can run cash on cash numbers and overall return. The gross rents on this were a little bit higher than I expected because I ended up putting a little bit more into the renovation and making it a little bit nicer than I initially planned. I do try to keep my renovations in line with the neighborhood. I want to be one of the nicest things in the neighborhood, but I don't want to be, just leaps and bounds ahead of anything else there. So ultimately, we were able to bring in $1,100 per unit and just sign leases for both units. The mortgage P&I is 507 on this one, so that's principal and interest. The taxes haven't been reassessed yet, but I estimate at 125. I think that's probably a little high. I think they're going to come in closer to 110, but I try to estimate high. Insurance is actual. That runs 190 per month, which was higher than I initially thought, but ultimately doesn't hurt the numbers on this one. We just did a pretty full-scale renovation. There's not a lot of old stuff, so I combined my CapEx and repairs at 10%. And honestly, I think for the first year or two, that hopefully should be high. I know people, won't pay me rent every day that I ever own the property. In fact, they haven't for this first 5 or 6 months. So I go ahead and save for vacancy. That way, I do have it when I have a vacancy. The money is sitting aside, and I'm not paying out of pocket for the expenses of this property. So I estimate that at 5%, which is 110. I pay 8% for property management. That's 176, and I'll pay $80 a month for lawn care. I don't pay any other expenses on this one. The tenants pay all of their own utilities. So when you do the math there, that leaves you with $792 of cash flow after we have accounted for all actual expenses and the expenses that we'll know we pay more sporadically, like repairs, CapEx, and vacancy. Okay, we've got our total cash invested. We know our monthly cash flow. If you want to get your cash on cash return, it's pretty easy. You just take your annual cash flow, so 792 times 12, which is $9,504, and you divide by your total cash invested. So this one has a 15.8% cash on cash return. But, as I do like to talk about in real estate, the cash on cash return is only part of how real estate makes you wealthy. So let's talk about the other factors you'll want to remember. Those other factors include the equity you create if you buy under market value or if you do a renovation and force appreciation in the property. Here I kind of did both. So, I've got 128,200 invested total, including what I paid and what the bank would have got a note for. And I would say conservatively, this property is worth 200 or 225. So that's huge. Every year, every month, you're paying down the mortgage. Whatever your principal is, you're paying down, and you pay down more every year. So that helps increase your returns over time. You have appreciation on the property. And the last couple of years, real estate's appreciated by 30 to 50% depending on where you are. And if I'd owned this 2 years ago, then the 225 it's worth now, it would be worth 300, and I would have enjoyed that gain. There's also some tax savings because you're able to take depreciation on rental properties. And then one of my favorite things is using the BRRRR strategy, which you can learn more about in my other content. But I have the ability to refinance this property because I have equity. I can pull some of that back out and I can put it down on another property to go around and do this again. So I can use money I created in the past to help me keep creating more money in the future. That's one of the reasons real estate is so powerful, and one of the reasons that I really love it.
Thank you so much for following along with me today. I hope that you learned something and that you're able to use it to go out and have success in your own real estate investing. Don't forget to check out my podcast, REI Roadmap Podcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts, or you can find me on YouTube at Realtor Matt Jones. And I've got tons of content about real estate and about real estate investing. So I hope to talk to you and keep up with you in the future. Thanks.